If you don't already have TrenchBroom, just do a search for TrenchBroom, and hopefully that will bring you to trenchbroom.github.io, the official site. From there, you can click on Download, scroll down to the Assets, and you might need to click this little drop-down arrow to see the files. There's a couple files for 64-bit Windows. You don't need to worry about the MD5 file unless you really want to validate your download. Just click on the Win64 release zip file. Save that to an appropriate directory. Now, if you try to unzip this into the Program Files directory, Windows won't let you do that without admin access, so I like to create a directory called Programs on the root of the drive. Then we can fiddle with these files later without having to get permissions every time. Next, we need to grab the textures and compilers. Go to digitalpaint.org and click on the Downloads tab or Additional Files link and scroll down to the Mapping Resources. I've created a handy zip file with everything you need. You can just extract that into your Programs directory as well. Now, go into the TrenchBroom directory and open TrenchBroom.exe. Most of you will probably want to enable dark mode, so click on New Map, then Open Preferences, then on the View tab, click on the Theme dropdown and select Dark. Press Apply, then close out of everything and launch TrenchBroom again. Now we need to configure the Paintball 2 settings. Click on New Map again, then Open Preferences, select Digital Paint Paintball 2, then click the three dots to the right of the game path. Browse to the Paintball 2 mapping resources you extracted and select the Quake 2 directory within it. While it's probably not necessary with tools these days, at one point they used to search for the Quake 2 directory in order to function properly. Apply that, hit OK, and we're back at the new map screen. Select Digital Paint Paintball 2 for the game, and you'll probably want to use the Quake 2 valve format, as this allows for more advanced texture alignment. Click OK, and let's make sure the textures show up. Click on the Faces tab on the right, and if you see a bunch of textures, you should be good to go. These may look a little different from the in-game textures, since they're the old Quake 2 .wall format, which stores additional info like light values and texture flags. At the very minimum, we need a player spawner to test our export, so right-click on the brush in the middle and create point entity, Info Player Deathmatch. Now, save your map somewhere. I'm just going to put it in the Mapping Resources Quake 2 P-Ball Maps directory. Also, while you're iterating on a map, you should save it with a beta extension like mymap_b1. I've posted a guide on the forums for map releasing practices. Pause to read, and I'll post a link in the description as well. Now click on Run, then Compile Map, and we'll get our compiler set up. Click the plus under Profiles, and we'll set the name of this one to Quick Compile. Now click on the new plus under the Details and select Export Map. We'll go with the default -compile name. Click on the plus again and select Run Tool. Click the three dots to the right of the toolpath and browse to the Paintball 2 mapping resource directory, then Quake 2 util and select qbsp.exe. This is Eric W's compiler. If you type a $, you'll get a drop-down of different variables, so we want to select map base name, then add -compile.map, so we'll get the exported version. That's the input, and for the output, type $, again and select map base name and add .bsp. But since Eric W tools support multiple formats, we have to tell it to use Quake 2, so at the beginning of parameters add -q2bsp. And so all the texture settings work properly, we have to add -gamedir, c:/programs/paintball2_mapping_resources/quake2/pball, assuming that's where you extracted the Paintball 2 mapping resources to. Let's make the window larger so you can see the whole thing. Hit compile to do a quick test. Scroll up in the log window and make sure Q2BSP is set as well as the gamedir. Now click plus and add another run tool. This time, select viz.exe. This is used to calculate what parts of the level should be visible from a given location. We only need the map base name and .bsp in the parameters like so. Add one more tool for lighting, light.exe. Again, we need to add the -gamedir and the path to the mapping resources pball directory since the light tool needs textures for reflection calculations. And here's other parameters that I use. -admin makes minimum lighting look more natural if you use that. -bounce2 does 2 bounce reflections. We'll set that higher in the quality compile profile. -bounce scale 1 means we have 100% of the reflected light, and -bounce color scale 1 uses 100% of the reflected color. Finally, we need the map base name .bsp again. Let's compile again and make sure things work. Looks like the light parameters are good, but you'll notice viz had an error. That's because our map isn't sealed. If we check the stop on non-zero error code boxes on all of our tools, we can catch errors sooner, and we won't waste time lighting if viz fails, for example. Let's make our map properly sealed. I like to use a grid size of 64 when I'm blocking out large areas. Click on that default brush and add a more reasonable texture to it, like grass. You can hold down Shift, then click and drag to move faces of a brush along their normal, and they'll snap to the grid. Then you can hold Control Shift and click and drag to extrude a face into a new brush. Let's put a brick texture on this one. Combining the Shift-Click-Drag to modify brushes, then the Control-Shift-Click-Drag to make new brushes, we can quickly block out an airtight box to make Viz happy. If you want to quickly find a texture, you can use the search box in the lower right. We're going to set the top of the box to Sky 1. Make sure to save the map before trying to compile again. Looks like we're error-free. Now we just need to get it in the game. To avoid cluttering the maps directory, I like to create an in-progress subdirectory. So go to C:/game/paintball2 or wherever you have Paintball 2 installed, open up the pball directory, then maps, and add a directory with the name in progress if you don't have one already. Back on the compile window, click the plus, then copy files. For the source path, put $, select workdirpath / $map_basename.bsp. And for the target directory, C:/game/paintball2/pball/map/in-progress. Basically wherever you put that in-progress directory. And for convenience, I like to just launch the game at the end. So add another run tool, then click on the 3 dots, select paintball2.exe, and in the parameters add +map space in progress /$, then select map base name. Now hit compile, and if it's all correct, you should be in your map. The sliding looks a little bland though, so let's improve that. First we're going to go into the Entity tab. With nothing selected, you'll have the World Spawn entity, which holds the settings for the entire level. Now click on the value next to Sky, and for this example I'm going to use Riverscape 1. A list of other possible skies can be seen below. Compile the map with a new sky, then when you're in the game, aim your crosshair at the sun, press tilde to bring down the console and type angles, then hit enter. Now take that sun angle value and put it in the sun angle of the world spawn. It doesn't need to be super exact. Next, let's set the sunlight to 150. With the Eric W tools, we need to actually disable the light emitting on the sky. So right click on the sky and go to Reveal in Material Browser. That's a little glitchy, so I usually have to do it twice. Now right click on the Sky 1 texture and hit Select Faces. In this case, we could have just selected the one sky brush, but it's a tip for selecting all faces with a texture on a more complex map. Now set the value to 0, click on the 3 dots to the right of surface and uncheck the light flag to disable light emission. Run the compile again and note how we have directional light from our sun instead of a mostly uniformly lit map, but it doesn't look quite right because in reality we'd be getting a bunch of light from the sky as well. We can add skylighting in Eric W's light by adding the _sunlight2 property. Let's set that to 250. We can also add _sunlight2_color to set the color of the sky. Let's pick a blue color. Now, compile the map and see how it looks. While the lighting is about what we want, the quality is pretty chunky, so let's set up a new compiler profile for a high quality compile. In the Compile Map window, right-click on the Quick Compile profile we created and select Duplicate. Now change the name to Quality Compile. In the light.exe parameters, we're going to change the bounce value to 3 for more light reflections and add -emissive quality space high, -soft, and -extra4, which will increase the amount of sampling done, but take longer to light. Give it a compile and look how much smoother the lighting looks, even with Quake 2's low-resolution light maps. Now you can use Quick Compile for work-in-progress testing to save time and the Quality Compile when you're done. One thing I forgot to mention for those new to TrenchBroom, for some reason the panning on the x-axis is inverted by default, so if you find it very difficult to control, go to View, Preferences, Mouse, and then check Invert X-axis. Much better. This tutorial was requested by one of my patrons, so if you'd also like to see a tutorial like this, consider supporting me on Patreon like these wonderful people. And if you found configuring TrenchBroom too much of a hassle, I'll just post a zip file of my TrenchBroom settings on Patreon as well. Oh, and patrons also get early access to the games I'm working on, like Fist of the Forgotten and Kook.
Compile when you're done. One thing I forgot to mention for those new to TrenchBroom, for some reason the panning on the x-axis is inverted by default, so if you find it very difficult to control,